I do want to bring in one of our Denver 7 reporters, Liz Gelardi. She was there at the STEM school that day. She was in court throughout a majority of these proceedings. She was in court yesterday as those closing arguments were given. And I just want to kind of just bring her in to give some context to what we just saw. So Liz, thanks so much for joining me. We have her now via. Can I just get your reaction? All 40 counts, all 46 guilty verdicts from this jury.
Yeah, you know, I think obviously to have him found guilty on all of those counts is huge for this case. And huge for all the families. You know, sitting in court yesterday, watching the family of Kendrick Castillo, his parents were there. You know, they go to Kendrick's gravesite every day. They were going in the morning before and after the trial, long days for them. And then, you know, during closing arguments yesterday, you had some of the classmates, some other friends in the courtroom as well. And as they're playing these videos where Erickson is being interviewed, you know, it was emotional for them. So really, I'm just thinking about those families and what they must feel. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from Kendrick's dad shortly. He hasn't been shy about talking with us, but really just thinking about them in this moment and what it must be like for them, because it's a long road.
And we expect to hear from potentially the prosecution, the defense, as well as John Castillo as well. He has spoken to us after court proceedings in the past. So as soon as they step out of that courtroom, obviously an emotional courtroom, and step in front of a microphone there at Douglas County Court, we will have that for you. Liz, you were there for closing statements, and at that point, it appeared pretty clear the direction that both were going. George Brockler for the prosecution, really just laying out every single fact, every single step that Erickson had said, and everything that McKinney, the co-conspirator in this case, everything that they planned, everything that they said, everything that they did. The defense then coming back basically saying that Erickson there was no plan, that this was not some masterminded scheme. Obviously, in the end, the jury siding with this prosecution's argument, 61 witnesses over the course of all of this time. I mean, watching it through the computer was one thing, but being there and listening to those closing statements, it was quite powerful to just kind of hear and see what we thought potentially could happen, then ultimately seeing it happen today.
Well, and, you know, I think Brockler was very clear. I mean, he walked the jurors through this bit by bit. He had a PowerPoint kind of laying out some of the key parts. And, you know, I mean, he said that Devon Erickson went in with a plan. He went in with a suicidal friend, and they made war on that classroom that day. They tried to kill everyone. They shot several students, and they also murdered a hero that day. And he walked them through step by step, starting with the videos of them breaking into the gun safe and doing cocaine, and then walked them through the videos of Erickson and McKinney walking into the school. You see that guitar case that we now know had the guns in it. And one of the pieces of video that Kendrick's dad said really, you know, stuck out to him as well as some pretty damning evidence is just them doing that fist bump in the hallway. I mean, just watching them fist bump in the hallway before they go on to, you know, I mean, try and, you know, murder fellow classmates, and they did. And so that's kind of what he, you know, laid out in court yesterday, and I think it was very clear.
Denver 7's Liz Gelardi is joining us now. If you're just tuning in to Denver 7 and Denver 7 Plus, Devon Erickson has just been found guilty of 46 counts, 43 felonies, including 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the STEM school shooting in Highlands Ranch that happened back on May 7th of 2019. And Liz Gelardi is speaking with us because, Liz, you were there the day that this happened. You've been covering the case throughout. You've spoken to John Castillo multiple times. I was on the scene that day as well, May 7th, 2019. To get to this point, it's been a long long road. Obviously, there were COVID delays. We could do some things in person and some not. Alec McKinney ultimately took a guilty plea in this case. Devon Erickson pleading not guilty. It's been a long road to get here. I know that it's been tough watching just through the WebEx, but after speaking with John Castillo, there's got to be at least some sense of relief, probably, both for his family as well as this community, because it's taken more than 2 years for us to finally get to this point where the two alleged shooters are now the two convicted shooters and are going to prison.
Well, and I think John Castillo is always looking ahead, right? We talked with him yesterday and we kind of asked him what it was like knowing that the closing arguments had just wrapped. And he said, this is just kind of one chapter for my family. Yes, we hope, that he will be found guilty, but he also went on to talk about the laws that he wants to change and the causes that he wants to champion. And I think you're going to continue to see him do more of that, as well.
Denver 7's Liz Gelardi joining us on the phone. Liz, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
So once again, just to recap what we just witnessed inside Douglas County Court, Devon Erickson, you can see the WebEx there as attorneys are still inside. Devon Erickson, or Devon Michael Erickson, as you heard the judge refer to him as multiple times, found guilty on all 46 counts that he faced, 46 different charges. The 48 number comes from 2 additional sentence enhancers here, but those include the counts of first-degree murder after deliberation and first-degree murder extreme indifference. Every single count that he faced of attempted murder after deliberation and attempted murder with extreme indifference in connection with that school shooting at STEM School Highlands Ranch, he will now face a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. We are awaiting some news conferences that usually follow major court proceedings like this. We expect to hear from the prosecution side, from George Brockler. We will be asking to speak with Devon Erickson's defense attorneys. We believe that John Castillo, Kendrick Castillo's father, will step up in front of a microphone at one point. And as soon as that happens, we will bring you that live right here on Denver 7 Plus. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in just a few minutes.